Master key combination 131 memorandum. The Messiah Code. Verse 1. The Messiah Code is an archive of information that is and has been and will be moving throughout the mainframe for an eternity of what we call time and space. Verse 2. The greater consciousness of thought, the hard drive of self-awareness. How can I explain what the Codex is? Verse 3. A combination of all matter and antimatter. In actuality, you can consider it a combination of all things. We call this the network, the tone of the universe. Verse 4. The greater perception of reality, tapping into the frequency of the ever-living to become a master student, so you can become a master teacher. Verse 5. This means that you have to base your life upon learning. It is no day or no minute. You are not in the realm of learning. Every aspect that you will learn throughout this program will be a point in a geometrical shape that you will create in a pathway of life, coming back to the source. Verse 6. When you move from point A to point B, back to point C, back to point A, you actually create a geometrical shape, or what we call a dimensional reality. The sigil of destination, the progress of learned behavior. Verse 7. You are a Messiah type, leader, or savior of a particular group or cause, and never let anyone tell you different. That means you have to step up to the plate and be a leader. Verse 8. Show perseverance in what you do and diligence in the things you dream to be. The idea of this is to tap into your uniqueness. Yes, you are unique, and know the special qualities that you possess as a Messiah type genealogy. Verse 9. Now Messiah can be applied in many ways. Throughout the course of your journey, learning the Messiah Code, you will learn the cycles of 1 through 31. This is a symbolic clock of time, measuring the cycles between 1 and 31 as the Alpha and Omega principle. Verse 10. These are the building blocks of Messiahship, and every block represents a degree in the temple that you are building. It represents the foundational keys to open the doors of a monumental temple. Verse 11. You have to make the foundation strong, so when the storm comes, you will not be shaken. Verse 12. The mind, the body, the soul are all aspects of the temple. All three are one. 131. Verse 13. The threefold reality that you will tap into, and the greatest tools that you will have, will be that of the Messiah Code, to decipher reality and rewrite the mainframe consciousness. Learn the code, know the code, and be the Codex. Verse 16. And if one is able to take his or her quest to the next level, they will become what they truly are, the Messiah or hero of their world. And with the power of great leadership, we will be able to save the planet. Verse 17. The Codex is one of the greatest tools that you will be able to utilize in your life. It's just up to you to know that you are great. It is up to you to tap into the power that you have. Verse 18. The Messiah Code is a motivational tool, but at the end of the day, it is all about self, and that's where this journey is leading. Verse 19. The greater you and the greater destiny of what you are becoming and growing to be, the inner being. Verse 20. The one that is calling out to the outer world. The only way to escape the matrix is to be called, and you must know your calling, your purpose in life. Verse 21. We are more alike than what people know, and this is the template designed to formulate one's own stance on reality itself. Verse 22, this is the Messiah Code. Become the Messiah you already are. Become a great person. Become what you truly are, and never let anyone stop you from transforming the ideas that you have inside yourself. This is the greatest thing that you have, which is your creativity. Verse 23, the Messiah Code is not related to astrology or numerology. It is a mainframe consciousness compared to that which you would consider to be a computer. Verse 24, there is no more Christianity, there is no more Islam, there is no more Judaism, there is no more numerology, there is no more Buddhism. It is only the network. Verse 25, it is a code that is updated every first, every second, every minute, every hour, anything you can consider to be time itself. It is essentially data. Data is another word for DNA. Data. Verse 26. So when you look at the code, you got to apply it as heroic qualities about yourself. Verse 27. Now we break down every number from 1 through 31, and they have a special quality and recognition to the reality that we are living. But what you must understand truly is that your mind is the computer that is tapping into the greater computer, which is the source, the architect. Construct your goals of happiness. Verse 28. If you want to call this God, the architect is the one that creates the plan for the building, and we are building right now. Verse 29. The Most High God is the architect for the plan of the building, the temple of the spiritual body, the shell. Verse 30. It has been called by many names throughout time. Now we call it the Messiah Code, or Codex, the mainframe consciousness that is linked to the mental reservoir. Verse 31. What we call the source, or any other name considered to be a verb, action, movement, and progress, is an example of what the Messiah Code is.
How's it going? What's up? Peace to the family. Peace to everybody watching in the TikTok. Peace to everybody watching on the YouTube, the Facebook. You already know what it is. Support the movement. Hit the likes. Hit the shares. Let's get the algorithm popping. All right? So again, let me introduce myself for anybody that is just getting to know me. All right, I am 131 Solar Prime Supreme of the Messiah Code movement. I go by the name Lazarus Lamel. All right, how y'all feeling today? So we've been doing the fast, the cleansing for 90 days. All right, and it's based off a book. Okay. That's called the 90-Day Water Fast and Cleansing. Hopefully you got that book. If you don't got it, just look up Lazarus Lamel on Amazon and you'll find the book. All right, so we're on day 78. Day 78. I want to say peace and love. Peace to the primes. Peace. We on day 78. So let me share a little bit of information about what I represent. Okay? You see this right here? This is called the body of the Messiah. Everybody watching in the Facebook, TikTok, all right, YouTube, here it is. This is called the body of the Messiah. My proclamation, real simple. My proclamation to each and every one of you is that the Messiah has returned, okay? Now, the Messiah that I'm talking about that has returned represents a collective body, all right? And collectively, we represent that body of the Messiah that is said or set to return, okay? Or has been prophesied to return, okay? We are that Messiah. We are the body of that Messiah. We form that body collectively, all right? So that's what I want to share with you. You see this right here? This is the body. Now, this is the 1 through 31, okay? The 1 through 31. 1, 3, 1. You see that? 1, 3, 1. So this 1, 3, 1 represents a body. Now, if I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 31, your birthday would flow between that number 1 and 31. Now that 1 and 31 is symbolic of the Alpha and Omega, which is the tick and the tock, or the beginning and the ending. Okay? I want you to put that in your mind as well. Because it's 1 as the beginning and 31 as the ending. All right? The same thing as the number 19 is 1 is the beginning and 9 is the ending. All right? So that's it connects up in the same way. All right? As representing the beginning and the ending. Or the beginning of something is the ending of something, and the ending of something is the beginning of something. All right? So each and every one of us collectively takes a position within this body called the Messiah. Now, your birthday is no longer called a birthday. Your birthday is now called a log date. A log date. All right? Meaning how you logged in space and time. All right? We're in the age of information. Whatever you want to argue about Aquarius, Pisces, what you know that it is some form of convergence that is going on as we speak. All right? So we are in that day and time, and I'm sharing with you the body collectively called the Messiah. Okay? Now those are the numbers that flow between 1 and 31. Now what about the numbers that flow between 1 and 9? So now the 1 becomes the 1 and 99. Every number that flows between the 1 and 99. So each and every day we're learning something different. Each and every day it is a supreme mathematical equation that represents what we can accomplish, what we go through, and what we can navigate through as well. Okay? Now, I wanted to break it down to you because today is day 78. All right? Now, let me start off with the Messiah. Now, the numbers actually talk about the journey of the Messiah. All right? Hear me out. If you never had a Bible, if you never had a Quran, if you never had anything, the only thing that you had was the numbers that is connected to your body. All right? And then you have the stars that you can observe and the earth that you can feel. All right? I just want to share that thought with you. You know, and this is what your mothers and fathers have given to you, have bestowed upon you. All right? So now let's begin. Let's share more enlightenment of what I'm talking about. So like I said, the numbers reflect the journey of the Messiah. So now we're talking about number 0. We start off from nothingness, or we start off from the dot. Now I always ask y'all how many degrees are in a circle. The answers should be simply 361 degrees in a circle. All right? The reason why is 361 degrees because we operate from the dot. That's plain and simple. When you see a circle, you actually see a dot that's in the middle of the circle, but you don't see it through your eye of observation, but the dot still remains there, because if the dot was not there, you would not have the circle itself. Because the dot is at the center of the circle, and that is the hidden one, which they call Amun, all right, which the dot that goes into the darkness, the dot, the sacred dot, which you consider to be the sun. All right, so now let me reflect more on this knowledge of what I'm saying. So I'm gonna start from 1 through 9, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna skip the 78 because we're on day 78. And if you learn the Messiah code, or if you're learning the Messiah code, you start to see geometrical shapes as numbers. You see this that's behind me? You see the upgraded body of the Messiah, because you have a body called the body of manifestation, which is the 1 through 31. And then you have a body called the body of resurrection. All right? Now, or the etheric body. And I break down the etheric body, each number, what it represents in each position that it represents. Okay? Now let's break this down real simple. So we had the dot. I gave you the information about the dot, the 0, the cipher. Now I'm going to give you about the 1. Now the 1 would represent harukment, or movement. But it would also represent a journey within oneself, because it represents the way things move and how nature grows, or how existence moves. Because the moment creation, or whatever it did, created itself, it also moved. All right, so movement is the principle that came from nothingness. All right, now if you hearing me out, it would be nice if I could join us. If you can join us tonight, that's what's up. Let me know what's going on. Okay. Let me further explain. So you got 1, which represents nothingness. Excuse me. The first principle was nothingness, and then you go into movement, which is 1. Okay, and then you got 2, and then 2 is the realization of self. At 2, it wasn't at 1. It wasn't at 1. It was at the number 2, which represents the realization of self, which is the duality. Now you got the 2 hemispheres of the brain. You got to think about sacred geometry, how something is creating itself. Because after it created the 2 dots, which is the 2 hemispheres of the brain, essentially, all right, it was able to seal the dot back up. It was able to seal the line. All right, it was able to connect it up. Now we're going to the number 3. Now the number 3 is an expression of self. That's the number 3. All right, but more important, the number 3, it represents the child within. It represents us being the child of the universe. So that's what the Messiah realized, that he or she was a child of the universe. Once he realized, or she realized herself at number 2, not at number 1, because see, the principle of God has to move within you. If it don't move within you, it don't work. So what happened was he was able to reach for God. And when he reached for God, that's when he got self-realization. And that and I'm using God for lack of better words. Y'all can slide in whatever name y'all want. All right? So now when you breaking it down, he realized self. And then the expression of self was the number 3. And then you got the number 4 is when he sat on his throne. But it was more than the number 4 because the number 4 represents the thigh, right? And it's called Naju. And Naju represents successful outcome. But if you think about it, Naju represents the successor at number 4. Like for real, because at number 4, that's when you sit on the throne. You sit on the throne at number 4. But what's so deep about the number 4 is that the number 4 represents success, but it's connected to the thigh of the Messiah. But that's where the babies sit. When you sit the babies, where do you sit the babies? You sit the children on your thigh. You sit them on your thigh. All right? And that is a symbol of successorship being passed on. All right? And that's at the number 4, because at the number 4 is the throne. It's the throne that the Messiah took. It's the throne that the Messiah took. Now, the first throne that the Messiah took was on the lap of his mother, getting breastfed. You get it? Because Aset or Aset, if you go back to ancient Egypt, what does her name mean? It means the throne. It's connect up. If you look at the hieroglyphic or the metal netter, you'll see that it is symbolic of the throne. But if you think about Horus or Heru, and I'm talking about any Messiah, not just Heru. Any Messiah had to sit on the throne, and the first throne that the Messiah sat on was the lap of his mother in order to get breastfed. All right? And what's so deep about it is that connects up with the number 4, which also connects up to the femur bone, which is the strongest bone in the body, if I'm not mistaken. It's the bone that they use the cross in the bone, and the cross in the what's the name? You don't know that they're using the thighs, the 2 thighs, not the hands. It's not hands that they're using, the bones. They're using 2 thighs. All right? Because the femur bone is symbolic of successorship. Okay? Which is the number 4. And that's when the Messiah realized the power at number 5. But what the Messiah realized that the power was a gift and a curse at number 6. And that the Messiah knew that he or she had to yield to a force that was greater than himself, which was at the number 7. All right? And then, listen, at the number 8, when he yielded to a force that was greater than himself, he went down on his 7. He went down on his 7 to find God. Because when you go down on all 7, you actually touch 7 points. When you go and pray to the universe, that's 4 points, which is your 2 knees and your 2 feet. And then you got your 2 hands and your head. That's 7 points. And you think it's your lowest point, but it's actually your highest point. All right. And then let's break this down further. He was looking for God, but God didn't answer. So what he did was he went to the mirror at number 8. 8 made him great because when he looked at the mirror, that's when he found God, essentially. And that's when he became the number 9. He became born again. All right. And then we move forward with the number 10 because the number 10 was a lock, because the 9 was a lock as well. The 9 is symbolic of a lock because 9 times any number equals itself. So it became a lock until you moved on to the 10. And that's why in Arabic, they had 10 numbers. They had the 0, they added the 0, the 9, and the 0 as well to make it 10. All right? So, what's so deep about the 10 is after you go past the 9 and you go to the 10 represents the sapphire, which is the lock and the key. The lock and the key, it almost looks like a Ghostbuster symbol if you look at it. All right? But now, I'm going to skip up to the number 78. The number 78, what's so deep about the number 78? Now, each body part of the esoteric body, you see this body right there? I don't know if y'all can see it on the broadcast, but y'all can see it on the TikTok, but y'all can't see it on the YouTube or the Facebook. But y'all know what I'm talking about for everybody that followed the movement. All right, look, you got a plane of thought that you govern. I asked y'all how many degrees are in a circle. It's 361 degrees, meaning that you operate from the dot. So now you start to measure the foreseeable universe above you and below you because you're operating from the dot. Now, what's so deep about it is this. It's the fact that when we talking about the number 70s, the 70s and the 50s, the 70s guard the left hip of the Messiah. Okay? The esoteric body. All the number 70s. It guards the left hip. Now, the 50 numbers guard the right hip. All the numbers 50 to 59 guard the right hip. And all the numbers 70 to 79 guard the left hip. All right? Y'all hearing me? Y'all hearing me? Y'all get the reflection of what I'm talking about. So now, when we talk about the number 70s, we're talking about each number representing a position within the body. All right? The esoteric body and how it communicates with this reality. All right? Now, you might say, explain it. Explain it to me a little bit. All right? Now, when you look at 70s, we talk about degrees. Degrees. Each number represents a degree. Okay? A degree of thought or a degree. Now, you think about a degree could represent temperature, but a degree could represent an achievement as well. All right? It can represent a certain segment to represent a location of sort. All right? A degree. Now, we're moving up certain degrees of the body. Now, we're dealing with the number 70s. Now, how I explain this is that you got a plane of thought, which is 180 degrees. Okay? Now, when you got 78, man, 78 is at 160 degrees. You hear me? When you, I don't have none of my tools, but when we talk about 100 and, here, can I have that? Yeah. Thank you. We talking about 160 degrees, right? Which is 78. You see that? You see that? That's 160 degrees. That's having your hand like this. So now you're in connection with the constellations of stars that are in that section or that abode. Now you got to think about it. What if I tell you that you are really an antenna and you are like your body is an antenna? How should I say it? Would you understand what I'm saying if I say that to you? That your body is an antenna. The way that you move your body adjusts the signal. Like you got a TV set, like one of them old TV sets back in the day, that you have an antenna on it and you're adjusting the signal. Now the signals are out there moving throughout the universe. You can tap into the universe is a vast place. It's infinite. So the direction of where you can point yourself or where you can connect up is based on yourself, based on your body, or based on your center. All right? Your sin, which is your actually meaning your sun. All right? So now we're talking about 78 actually equals 160 degrees. Now you might explain that to me. All right, you see this tool right here. This tool actually comes from your body. This is not a mechanical tool. This right here actually comes from your body. And it was utilized to measure the universe. It was also utilized to build structures on this planet. You hear me? Explain how this comes from your body. Explain how this mechanical device comes from your body. I'm going to explain it because if you place your hands like this, you got 180 degrees. You see that? 180 degrees. But if you place your hand up at one notch equals 20 degrees. So the number 1 equals 20. You see that? So now I'm pointing to that particular star constellation. You hear me? Now we say, well, what's number 2? Well, number 2 is 40 degrees. You see that? 40 degrees. That's number 2. Number 3 is 60 degrees. You see that? That's you. This is all you. This is all you connecting up with the stars. You know what's so deep? As you go up, that's number 3. Number 4 is 80 degrees. You see that, right? Number 5 is 100 degrees. You see that? Y'all see that? 100 degrees. Number 5 is 100 degrees. All right? Number 6 is 120 degrees. Is it not? Look at that. Look at that. Number 6 is 120 degrees. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. You said, and you look at the tool, it says the same thing that I'm saying. It's saying the same thing that I'm saying. The tool is saying the same thing that I'm saying. So you say, oh man, you made that up. In actuality, nobody makes up anything. The universe flows through you because nobody possesses the energy. You know, you're a conduit of the supreme energy that flows through us all. Now moving forward, if you look at this, this is 120, right? And 120, if you look at day 77 is called the God flesh. Is it not? It's called the God flesh. I don't mean to backtrack, but we was on day 77, right? Day 77. Now I explained the numbers to you, right? I explained all the numbers to you. I said, man, 1 through 9, and I even went up to 10. So you got the idea why 77 would represent the God flesh or El Harutu. Okay? It's called El Harutu, which is the God flesh. Now explain it, because 7-7, remember that. The 70s are connected to the stars above you. But the 70s, if you think about it, the 70s, I'm talking about all the 70 numbers. Okay? All the 70 numbers. If you go look at Osiris is almost like this in the stars. You'll look at this. Osiris is almost like this. You'll see the symbol of him holding like this, up like that, the same thing. I don't know if you follow the constellation of Orion or but it's a depiction where they have his arms like that. All right, which is 77, which is at 140 degrees. All right? But I wanted to explain certain things with this because I wanted to tell you that everything operates from the dot, which is yourself. All of these things were based upon you. Even the computer was created from your mind. It was created as a replica of the mind. Okay? So we're on day 78. Let me move forward. Okay? Day 78. Day 78 is called the Mahdi, or the spiritual guide. Now, I want you to think about 7. 70s represent all the stars that are above, and it's on the left side. So the left side of the body is connected to right brain activity. You hear me, Messiahs? The left side of the body is always reflected on right brain activity. Okay? So now if I'm dealing with a designation on the left, I'm dealing with the idea of what the right brain does and how it remotely moves throughout the universe. Okay? I'm really, connecting up that thought on how these numbers correspond. Okay? So now we talk about 70. The 70s represents the stars. Not the fallen stars, the stars that are above. All right? Now when we was learning about the body of the Messiah, just breaking down the body, going when we just talk about the upgraded body of the Messiah. All right? You got each number represents an archetype. It represents an archetype of numbers. Okay? So at the 70s would represent the stars, would represent the connection to the higher perspective, but the number 8 would represent direction. Okay? Because the number 8 corresponds with north, east, south, and west, but it's also northeast, southeast, southwest, northeast. All the figures in between. It gives you a compass, a direction in order to follow. Shout out to Mark, all my Taino people that's watching on the YouTube. Shout out to everybody watching on the TikTok as well. All right, hear me out. So the number 8. So when we talk about 78 is called the Mahdi. It's called the Mahdi, which is the guide. All right, 78. 70 is called the Mahdi, which is the spiritual guide. The spiritual guide. Now, remember, I gave you the archetype of numbers in the beginning of this conversation when I went from 1 through 9. But I also gave you a perspective on the seated numbers from geometrical shapes as well, because each geometrical shape represents a number. So now we're talking about a 7-pointed star. The 7-pointed star is the God intellect within yourself. Now, when you go from the 70s, we got Malakut. Malakut is symbolic of the heavens at 70. All right? But then you got 71, which is Emmanuel. Now, what does Emmanuel mean? It means God is with us, right? When you go look it up, they say Emmanuel means God is with us. Emmanuel, which means with us, and then you got El. So Emmanuel. So at 71, remember the principle, because you got 7, which is the God principle or the higher principle, which is Malakut. And then you got 1, which represents movement or Harukment. So obviously the number 71 represents Emmanuel, code cracked. That is the code cracked. Okay? So at 71, the source is with us. And then you got 72, which is Lahatha. Now Lahatha is the feminine principle of how the source expresses itself. It's the feminine principle because Lahatha is the sacred cow. All right? It's the sacred cow of what we consider to be Hathor, but it's a different expression of what it represents at 72. Because at 72 backwards actually is what? 27, which represents the Holy Spirit or the spirit of immunities as well. All right. And this connects up, which comes from the sacred cow, which is Lahatha. All right. So at 73 is Thawalid, which is the God child. At 73, you get it. 73, 7 is God. And then you got 3, which is the child, expression of thought, the understanding. All right? At the number 3. Okay, so 73 is Thawalid, which is the God child. Now, moving forward, you got 74, which is the Dunya. It's the Dunya. Because why? Hear me out. Now, the four represents what one is trapped by. Is what you are trapped by, the box. The 4 corners of the earth being trapped in a box. But this is when God was trapped in the box at number 74. All right? Because you think about it, when you go down, you first go down on all 4s, which is north, east, south, and west. But you trapped at that position. Okay? Which is the square at number 74. Also called the Dunya, and the Dunya should be translated as to mean the matrix. Okay? Now moving forward, you got Shamsun, which is 75. Okay? 75. And I'm not going to go past 78. How about that? I'm gonna stop at 78. Because 78 is the day we on the cleansing, and I'm gonna leave it at that. And I'll build on the idea of what it represents as well. But I'm just leading up to what it means. All right? So you got 75. 75 is God and power. So God and power is Shamsun, because it's the 7-pointed star or the 5-pointed star to represent Shamsun as the living sun on this earth. And I'm going to take this back to ancient Egypt. When you think about any solar deity, because I learned this from my Taino people. When we look at certain solar deities, how they connect up, it represents the divine spark within ourselves. It represents the divine spark. So when you think of like a solar deity like Ra or Re, all right, or Ra'et or Atum, Atun, Amun, certain solar deities, I want you to think about the divine spark within yourself. Don't just think of a deity like a deity, but think of the principle as a divine spark within yourself. All right? So Shamsun was at 75, which is the living sun. Now, we're moving on to 76, which is Malatu. All right? And Malatu 76. Malatu, El Malatu, hear me out. Malatu represents the covenant. Why? Because I told y'all that 6 represents the gift and the curse, right? At El Fatu, the gift and the curse. El Fatu. All right? But the tying of the knot. All right? But when you put 7 plus 6, when you put 7 and 6 together, what do you got? You got the covenant. You got the covenant. The covenant is El Melatu, which is 7 and 6. God and the promise, or God and the agreement. Okay, at 7 and 6. And then when you add them together, they equal 13. 13 again is the Messiah, or El Masih. It can also represent the mother. Now we're moving to 77. 77 again is Herutu, which is the God flesh. 7 and 7. 7 and 7 is Harutu. And then when you add 7 and 7, what do you get? 14. And 14 represents the body parts of Osiris. El Harutu. 7 and 7. Now, those same body parts represent the network, because N is symbolic of the nation. Is it not? N is symbolic of the nation. The 14th letter of the alphabet stands for nation. All right? And that's in the supreme grandmother and grandfather mathematics. Moving forward, you got day 78, and I'm going to stop there. Day 78 is the Mahdi or Mahdi. Now, when you break it down, when you further break down Mahdi or the Mahdi, because we're at 78. Now, remember, that's the spiritual guide at 78. But Hadi comes from the Arabic word ha, dal, and ya. Now, which carries the meaning of to rightly guide someone. Okay? So we're at 7 and 8. Now, I gave you the principle why 7 and 8 would represent the Mahdi, or one who is rightly guided. But Mahdi, the word derives from the word Hadi, and it translates as one who is rightly guided. All right? Now, you have another connection with the Hebrew, because it would be Huda, which represents Judah. It would represent leadership. It would also represent to praise, because Judah, or the word Huda, is connected to the word of praise, to praise. But it also one who leads as well. And that's who the Messiah was looking for in his day and time, when he was looking for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, Matthew 15:11. What he was looking for was the leaders. He was looking for the Messiahs. He said, the things that I do, you shall do. He said, Jesus said, for all the Christians, Jesus said, the things that I do, you would do even greater. What Bible verse is that? You know, so, and I want you to think about your potential. I want you to think about your potential and what we represent as Messiahs. I'll put this in the comment section for all of y'all. All right? It's John 14:12. All right? But John 14:12, it says, verily, truly, I tell you, whosoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. I'm going to the Father. Yo, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So, like, you're going to do greater things with, you know, and what are greater things that you're set to do? That's the question. If you look around I tell you, I say it over and over again, you are great. Real simple. Now, what do you mean I'm great? I say you are the gods and goddesses that they will be worshiping thousands of years from now. You are the gods and goddesses that they will be worshiping. Real simple. Now, maybe that's hard to believe. Well, why don't you step out the door and just be great and be remembered? That's it. It ain't nothing else. Do what great people do. Do what honored people do. Honorable people do. And that means something in life. Otherwise than that, you just I don't know. You know, the things that we do, our children, the problems that we have, our children are meant to solve. Am I right? We work on problems that the world has left behind, but our children will solve these problems, or the future will solve these problems, however you want to put it. We're in an ever-growing society. In a moment that you're not a student, that's when you're not a teacher. Because a teacher is always looking for something to feed his students or her students. And how can you feed your students something if you're not learning? If you're not learning, if you're not growing, how can you teach somebody? How can you expect somebody to learn from you if you're not willing to learn yourself? I just want to know. So I want to let y'all know that first I was a master student before I considered myself to be a master teacher of this Messiah Code. Now, you can be a master teacher and flipping burgers at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it real, yo. You can be a master teacher at anything if you perfect it. You can be a master teacher of it. So let me finish this up real quick, and I want to bust it up with this body of the Messiah, and finish the thought. All right. Shout out to all the Messiahs. You know who you are. Peace to everybody watching the YouTube, the Facebook, as well as the TikTok. Shout out to yourself. Congratulations. You already know, because you doing something good, somebody gonna hate. All right, look. So 78. So 78, day 78, which is the Mahdi, right? Let me see. Day 78. I got y'all, 1 second. I thought I had it on here. I thought I had it on here where I can read from it. I had the book somewhere. Oh, yeah. All right, cool. Let's do this. Day 78. So day 78, El Mahdi, the spiritual guide. All right. So it's day 78. Okay, El Mahdi, the spiritual guide. 78 cubed is 474,552. All right, the affirmation is Anuki Amunmul. I am faithful. All right, supreme grand wisdom. A person is separated into soul and body, and only when the two sides of one's senses agree together does utterance of its thought conceived by the mind take place. That was fire. You want me to run that back for you? Okay, rewind. A person is separated into soul and body, and 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 only when the two sides of one's senses agree together does utterance of its thought conceived by the mind take place. These are ancient proverbs. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, so El Mahdi, right? Is the spiritual guide. The affirmation Anuki Amunmul, I am faithful, represents a deep commitment to spiritual integrity and inner harmony, echoing the wisdom that true expression arises when the soul and body are in alignment. You feel me? Let's get it. Now it says this. This wisdom is like a harmony between the melody and rhythm in music, where the unity of different elements create a beautiful and meaningful composition. It's about understanding that our most authentic selves emerge when there is congruence between our inner soul and our outer body selves. Let's get it. Let's get it. Embracing I am faithful is about cultivating faithfulness not only to external principles but also to our inner truth. It's a recognition that true faith involves aligning our actions and decisions with our deepest values and convictions. Fire information. This is a tree whose roots and branches are in perfect balance, allowing it to grow tall and strong, as above, so below. Let's get it. All right. So, it's about realizing that our spiritual journey flourishes when our physical actions and spiritual beliefs are what? In harmony. Okay? So the lesson of day 78, El Mahdi, the spiritual guide, is to foster a deep sense of faithfulness that encompasses both our spiritual beliefs and our physical actions. You got to talk the talk and walk the walk, yo. This day encourages us to seek harmony between our soul and body, understanding that our truest expressions, actions arise from this balance union. All right? Hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. And then we'll move on to Thorsey, because Thorsey represents the throne, the sacred throne. 7 and 9. 7 and 9. All right. Like I said, when you think about the stars above, these are the stars above. Malakut, when we started off at 70 representing Malakut, remember that Malakut was the heavens, but the heaven is your mind. The heavens are your mind. Let me keep it real. The heavens are symbolic of your mind. All right? So, just like hell is the body, the inevitable challenge of opposition. All right? Now, what else I want to say for this build? This was a good build. This was a good discussion. For anybody that is interested in this book, just go to Amazon and go check that out. Lazarus Lamel, you look it up, you'll find it, it'll pop up. You'll see other books that are connected with the Messiah Code movement. And we'll have great discussions. Shout out to Lisa Haynes in the Facebook watching. Shout out to Larry in the TikTok. Shout out to Healing Energy in the TikTok. Shout out to you across the world, wherever you at. All right, I love y'all, man. What else? Any questions? Any questions? Throw a couple questions at me before I get off. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Any questions? Shout out to everybody. Thank you. Also, share, thumb up the video. Give me all the gifts. All the gifts. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Subscribe. If you on the TikTok, subscribe. If you on the Facebook, subscribe, follow. If you on the YouTube, subscribe. If you across the world, connect up. All right? If you across the universe, connect up. You know what it is. Listen, my proclamation is clear to y'all. The Messiah has returned. We are that Messiah that has returned. Collectively, we represent that body of the Messiah. Now, if you're ready to do things that are great, let's get it. Because when you go into Matthew 17:20, it says this, and the Messiah said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if you have the faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall be removed, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. You know, I tell y'all, man, and that goes to day, and we passed day 77 on that one, but hear me out. Those mountains, you're not going to be saying to move those mountains anymore. Those mountains will be moving with you. You hear me? You're not going to be telling the mountain to move. You don't need to do that. The mountains are going to move with you. All right? Every time that one went on high, he went to the mountains. Horus is known as the mountainous one, or Heru. All right? But the Messiah in you is the higher consciousness of thought. If you want me to translate it and keep it basic without any type of designation connected to antiquity, we're going to deal with the present moment, how we are the gods, how we are the goddesses that have came, and we will be worshipped thousands of years from now. We will be revered thousands of years from now. You are great, and maintain your greatness and integrity. Because if you're going to be a spiritual guide, a guide has some form of integrity. All right? So I love y'all. What else I want to say? 747, 24/7, 361 degrees. All right? Connect up with the Messiahs, man. Connect up with the Messiahs. Now, the Messiah is not designated, the Messiah code is not designated just particularly to the message that I provided for you tonight. It's many people that possess the Messiah code. They just have a different name for it. It's many people that have cracked the code, and they have freed themselves from the matrix or the dunya. Because once you free yourself from the matrix, where do you go? Once you free yourself from the matrix, you tell me, where do you go? Where do you go when you free yourself from the matrix? Everybody in the TikTok, y'all watching, but are y'all listening? Because it's microwave technology in the TikTok, and I'm on here because I want to reach a couple people. You hear me? I'm on here because I want to reach a couple people. I want to connect up with a couple people. I want to pull people out of the microwave, and I want to bring them back to home cooking. Good home cooking. Let me keep it real. Now, like I said, we are the gods and goddesses that they will be worshiping. Collectively, we represent that body called the Messiah. Yo, go in the book. Go in the book. I like how you say that. Go in the book. Go in the book. You know, when you break this stuff down and you think about the memorandum, when you think about the memorandum of the messiahs, you think about the memorandum, and you know, like I said, the memorandum connects up to the idea of what this represents. When you come out of the matrix, you go into the book. You go in the book. Yes, I want to free myself from the matrix. Hear me out. Listen, Lisa. When you come out of the matrix, you go into the book. Now you might say, well, what is the book? What is the book? All right. Now remember, you was moving to and fro. That was the square. That was the square, to and fro. But you got another symbol, which is this, which represents the higher dimensions. But now you got height added to the degree of thought. So now you have volume, and each volume represents a legacy of what you have laid on this earth. But volume also represents a frequency of how you vibrate in this plane of thought. Messiah. That's what volume is. Because each volume of a book, you think about a whole volumes of books, right? It really represents the frequency of volume, of how you vibrate, of how you channel your mind in this plane of thought. Thank you. But it's time to come out of their loops. What has done has already been done. Why try to redo it? Like, we want to dress up as all the relics from the past. We should respect the past and honor the past for what it was. But what we should do is honor the legacy that we are set to lay. We are set to forge. You hear me? We should honor the legacy that we are set to forge as messiahs. All right. So I'm gonna leave y'all with that one. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be in my home. I'm happy to be back here in Florida. Yo, I'm so happy, y'all. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm so happy to be in my home. But I was happy to go see the family as well. I was happy to go up north to go see the family, go up New York, Delaware, Baltimore. I was all there. I was enjoying my life, connecting up with family, but I'm happy to be home. I'm happy to be home, and I'm happy to share some great information with y'all. Hopefully y'all can take it to the next level. All right? Because I'll do a John 14:12 on y'all. The things that I do, you're going to do greater with the Messiah Code. All right? So I'm going to leave it at that. I shade a moment. I shade a life. I shade a love. I shade yourself. All right? I shade yourself. And I'm gonna put a coom on that. So shall it will, so shall it be done. I shall. Y'all messiahs, man. Y'all messiahs. You got a problem with that? Let me know. Peace to the tribe and family. Blessings always. Stay connected. If you on a Facebook, subscribe. If you on a YouTube, subscribe. If you on a TikTok, subscribe. If you on any platform, link up with the messiahs. I love y'all. Cool.